And let's talk to the king of Jet fans, my longtime partner in the middays, Joe Benigno. And his football call-in on Monday is brought to you by Total Orthopedics, the experts at getting you back to being you, by Audi Manhattan, where luxury meets excellence, and powered by Bet365, whatever the sport, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Bro, what a disaster.
Well, let's see. 58 years that I've been rooting for this, woe-begone franchise. And I've probably seen the game we saw last night, I don't know, 200 times. I mean, I can't tell you how many times. And I've said this over and over. Ev, you've heard me say this. You can change the stadium. You can change the owner. You can change the players, the coach, whatever you want to change. You can change the play-by-play announcers. It doesn't matter. The results are always the freaking same. How many times have we been in this position where a win squarely puts us right there? We'd be basically tied for first with the Dolphins, ahead of the Bills, and we crap the bed. I mean, it's happened over and over and over again. I mean, it's brutal.
Joe, I know you talked to Coach Saleh. What did he say about Zach Wilson before he met the media and said what he said about Zach Wilson?
I can tell you this. I can confirm this from moments ago did I get this information
from Robert Saleh
that there will be no change at quarterback.
Do you want there to be a change at quarterback?
I don't know how much more I can take, bro. I mean, the kid stunk last night. I understand the offensive line was terrible. I understand the penalties killed them. I understand, the Garrett Wilson fumble. By the way, they finally get a roughing the freaking passer, and Garrett Wilson fumbles on the next play.
Can't make it up.
You just can't make it up. And I understand all of that. The punt return for a touchdown after they introduced Morstead as the first guy out, like they do with the defense and offense. And I understand the punt return, but the quarterback was terrible. And the play call. Let's be honest about this, okay? Nathaniel Hackett's worse than his father. He is terrible. I'm going to give you two instances that made me crazy.
Go.
Relatively early in the game, they got a 3rd and 3. Brees has run twice for 7 yards. They got a 3rd and 3. They're on I would say they're on the charge of 45-yard line. And I am screaming at the television, run again. Run again. Even if you get 2 yards, you go for it on 4th down. Can't do that. They got to throw. So what happens? Bosa sacks him. He fumbles. They recover. They score a touchdown. And then late in the game, I know the game was probably over. There was about 4 minutes to go. 20-6. He hits Garrett Wilson for 9 yards, right? 2nd and 1. Can we just get the first down? I understand it's late in the game. Can we just get the damn first down? Nah, not Nathaniel Hackett. I got to throw the ball. He gets sacked. They return it he fumbles. They return it to the 2-yard line, and the game now is officially over. He's worse than his father. He's worse.
I go back to before this game, and this is not always the case for me. I'm curious the case for you. I felt good. I felt confident. I believed in this team. I think that's what pissed me off even more, that I'm such a schmuck.
They sucked, like you said, they sucked us in again.
So you were in that same boat of confidence?
Yeah, it's like Michael Corleone. I thought I was out, and they pulled me back in. Of course I will. I felt good. I felt that we were being disrespected, being underdogs against this team. 3.5, whatever it was. I did. I felt good. I felt the defense, which they did play great.
Yeah.
The defense, the only thing they didn't do was come up with the 2 balls that were on the ground.
Right.
One that Quincy Williams should have had, one that Michael Clemens decides, I think I'll try to pick the ball up instead of falling on it. Whitehead had one that kind of hit him in the hands. I thought he should have caught. And John Franklin Myers hit 2 balls up in the air that there's nobody around to catch. But, the defense played great. I mean, what are you going to do? They held this guy to 150 yards passing in this game?
Dude,
5 sacks. I mean, they had pressure on him all night long.
They have played, to Saleh's point, great against these really good quarterbacks. They've embarrassed them. But this offense, and I know it's not just Zach. I get it. Billy Turner's not an NFL player.
No.
Laken Tomlinson stinks. I don't know what they saw in him when they signed him 2 years ago. Amazingly, he was all pro. I can't imagine how.
Well, he plays every game. That's about it.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, who knew Alan Lazard was going to be this bad?
Oh, my Alan Lazard. I mean, how many bad penalties, drop passes? To me, how about the play? He's got single coverage down the sideline, right? And he looked like some young kid. Go after the ball. Instead of he's waiting for the ball to come to him, guys, right?
Yes. Late first half. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Just go get the damn ball. And how about this? Every time Breece Hall had a big play penalty. Every time.
Yes, and a lot of them, a couple of them were Lazard. One was Garrett Wilson, but Lazard had him as well, including the false start or the illegal shift, I should say, and then the holding. You know, it's interesting because you bring up the play calling, and Nate. You know, I love Nate Hackett. He's a good friend.
Your neighbor, I know.
Well, he's not even my neighbor because he moved to Summit, but he's a good friend.
Did he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he did.
Okay.
But you talk about the last fumble, the 2nd and 1. This is why your point about Zach is dead on, because it's frustrating when you watch him. Nate Hackett calls this play. He knows he's going to get cover 2. So there's a hole shot to Garrett Wilson. So he wants to throw the hole shot. But it's 2nd and 1. Just check it down. Throw it to the running back. Don't sit there and hold it and know a not very good right tackle going up against Joey Bosa. What do you think is going to happen? And so I know what people are saying about the play calling, but to me, it's more execution. And a lot of the issues with the fumbles and the sacks, that was on Zach. It wasn't on the play call. It was on Zach. But that's just me defending my friend.
That's
on a completely different vein, because it's the same emotion, but a different vein. Where are you at with this team? They're 4-4. It's not over.
No,
right? They're still in the mix.
No.
I mean, teams like the Texans, surprisingly, are tied with you.
The Texans actually have a
quarterback. Dude, this kid is top 10 quarterback in the NFL, and he's definitely the rookie of the year already, right? Yep. So, but where are you at as a Jet fan? I know this is emotional today because it happened just last night, but when it comes to Thursday or Friday, where's your mindset now?
Well, here's what I had said after they beat the Eagles, Teague, and they got to 3-3, and they were at the bye. Here's exactly what I said. I said they got to be 5-4 going into the Buffalo game.
Mm-hmm.
That's and beat the Giants. Okay, I want to beat the Giants. I know, but I want to be 5-4 going into the Buffalo game. So here they are. They're on line with that. They got the Raiders this week. Okay, and by the way, they're favored. I can't believe it. It's only the second time all year they're favored. Wow. The Giant game haven't been favored at home all year. By the way,
that's surprising. Actually.
Unbelievable. So they, beat the Raiders, get to 5-4, and then that's where we need to be going into the Buffalo game. Trying to put the disaster of what happened last night aside. That's the overall way that I'm looking at it right now.
Look, and the reality is, and this is a compliment, but it's also the negative, they can beat anybody. They can play with anybody, and they've shown that this season because of how good their defense is.
Right.
But they can lose to anybody because this offense is so inept. And when they're turning the ball over, like we saw last night, I don't care how good this defense is, they can lose to anybody.
Yeah, they got no shot. How about this play, guys? And this typifies Zach Wilson, and I think this is on coaching. I really do. The play where he's got easily 20 yards to run for a first down, and he flips the ball to Michael Carter, and there's a Charger right on top of him.
Yep.
What was that? How is he not running there? Tell me that.
He could have had 20 yards easy on that play.
I think you're overestimating. I think you're go relook.
No, but he would have got the first down.
He would have got the first down.
He would have had the first down.
He would have had to take a shot to get the first down. And so I think the problem with Zach, when it comes to what we see, honestly, from every other quarterback in the NFL, when it's time to run, they'll run. Zach, when it's time to run, he wants to stay in the pocket, right? He wants to climb it backwards or climb it forward.
Tiki, because they don't want him running?
Well, 100%. Because think about what we said last year when Zach Wilson would get in trouble or the pocket would start to get a little murky. He is immediately sprinting to the right sideline. Right, it was always to the right. He was just running as fast as he could to the sideline, and then he'd try to make some hero throw across his body that was always picked up or tipped off or thrown away. Right, he's trying to be a better quarterback, but it's mechanical. You know what I mean? So it's all right, I'm in the pocket, pressure's coming. I got to, instead of instinctually doing it, he's doing it mechanically. And that's why problems occur, because he thinks he's safe when he does things mechanically, when in fact playing the quarterback position in the league, as we all know, I mean, it's so instinctual. I just don't think he has the instincts to do this job at a high level.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean,
that's a problem.
I mean, it's the reality.
It's great. And so many plays. The plastic. He had a deep cross to Garrett Wilson that would have been a touchdown. He missed him by 5 yards.
Yeah.
He had Uzama on the side. He gets away from Khalil Mack. He gets away from the pressure from Khalil Mack. He's got Uzama wide open on the sideline. Just lob the ball to him, and he throws like a laser beam at him, and he doesn't catch it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, what makes this so frustrating, and I use two examples at the top. Yankee fans with Don Mattingly when he's this hit machine, but they couldn't take advantage of it because the rest of the team wasn't any good. They never made the playoffs. The Mets with DeGrom, these great Cy Young years, they sucked. They didn't give him a chance to pitch in the playoffs. This defense is special, and they're wasting it. Yeah. They are wasting this elite-level defense because their offense isn't even average. It's incompetent. It's worse than it was last year.
How about this stat, you guys? This is crazy. This just shows that stats can be complete nonsense. He has not – I don't know what the number is. He has not thrown a pick since the Denver game.
Right.
I think he's gone like 200 passes without throwing an interception. I mean, you talk about a misleading statistic. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, because it doesn't take into account for the fumbles that he's had over the last 4 weeks. He's put the ball on the ground a million times now.
And the missed passes and, Tiki says, the bad decisions that he doesn't make. He doesn't make the right decision.
Why do you think, because this drove me nuts last year, and we're getting to that point again. They're sitting at 4-4. I know the offense has a lot of issues besides the quarterback. We all know that.
Right.
Why do they stay so loyal to Zach Wilson? Why?
Well, I think it's an easy answer.
Because where is his pick?
The second pick in the draft.
When does that end, though, Joe? It's been 3 freaking years.
But, bro, I agree with you. Look, one of the biggest mistakes they made, and I'm sorry, don't try to tell me any different. Mike White was better than this guy, okay? Let's be honest about it. Mike White is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson, but they had to justify, and I know Mike gets hurt. I get that. They had to justify that this kid was the second pick in the draft. And I put this on Joe Douglas, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to tell you, Joe,
I
got to tell you, if Mike was still – so let's say that the whole Miami thing doesn't happen and Mike White is still – he re-signs with the Jets. So he's the third-string quarterback. I guarantee they'd already made the decision to move to Mike White.
Oh, there's no question.
A year ago in Dak's second season, I think your take is correct. Right, you have to still. It's only second season. Right, you have to try to get the second overall pick a chance to prove it. But in the third season, and you already kind of know the writing's on the wall. You don't need the justification at this point. It's. I mean, you could damn near cut him if because you've already basically gotten your use out of him halfway through the third season. But if Mike White was still here, I think the decision would already be made. But the Tim Boyles and the Trevor Simeons of the world, they're not doing anything else for you. And I think that's what Robert Saleh would tell you, right? Yeah. Those guys aren't any better. So what's the point?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I wouldn't mind seeing the kid Boyle just to see Tiki. I mean, I
know nothing about the kid.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, I know what Trevor Simeon is. He's not any good, and he's basically a statue back there anyway. I mean, he would have got sacked 15 times yesterday. So, I mean, if anything, let me see the kid that I don't know about. Now, I'm not saying he's any good.
He's big, though.
He is. Give me, you know what I'm saying, Teak? Let's take a shot. You know what I mean?
Well, because otherwise, and this is what drives me nuts, you're just letting the ship sink.
Right.
You're not doing anything to try to fix this offense or spark this offense. And to me, this goes back, forget the offseason. We screamed and yelled. Joe Douglas didn't listen in terms of bringing in a real backup or re-signing Mike White, like you said. How about last Tuesday? They're at the trade deadline. Josh Dobbs was acquired for nothing.
Sixth-round pick, right? Sixth-round pick from Minnesota.
And I don't want to hear about how, it takes a while to learn the offense. Yeah, it took him about 30 seconds.
Oh, my God.
He
was like the player of the week. He came from behind to win this game. No, you're right. I mean, how could you deny that?
And if it wasn't Dobbs, why didn't this GM, and I get it what you're saying about he was picked number 2, they're loyal to Zach Wilson.
Right.
Why not acquire a quarterback at the trade deadline? This team is so mishandled the quarterback position, bro.
Yeah, and it's killing them. It killed them last year, and it's killing them this year. I mean, and there's really no other way to say it. And they're, like you said, they're a good team. I mean, we're 4-4. It's not like they're 1-7 here. You know what I mean? And they still got a shot, but I don't know, man. I'm concerned. You got to be concerned. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, they're going to play this kid until. Here's another big mistake. They put all their eggs in Aaron Rodgers' basket before the year started, and they did not think enough that this guy's 39 years old.
Yeah.
And
what happens
maybe
if?
something can. What? Right. If he goes down, what do we do? And we're stuck with Zach Wilson. And that's another thing they didn't do. That's a mistake by the management. There's no question. Absolutely.
We're talking to Joe Benigno. Jets lose to the Chargers. They're sitting at 4-4. Isn't it crazy that their best avenue to making the postseason may be through winning the AFC East?
Yeah.
Well, they still got 2 games with Miami. Miami hasn't beaten anybody any good.
Exactly.
I mean, they haven't beaten anybody. You know what I mean? How about the fact that the 3 teams they lost to, the Jets are 2-1 against, and could have very easily beat the Chiefs. But that's another story. They still got the 2 games in Miami. They got another game with the Bills. I don't know how good the Bills are. I got to tell you. I mean, I think the Bills got a lot of issues. I granted the games in Buffalo. You know, you look at something. Now some of these games that looked easy. You know, you got the Texans. That's not going to be easy. Cleveland is very good. They got one of the best defenses in the league. You know, so there's some games here down the road that are tough games. Maybe initially they didn't look tough, but they are. I don't know about the Falcons. I don't know about the Commanders. I don't know if these teams are any good. But
yeah, I mean, the Commanders are likely changing stuff as the season goes down.
But you know what? You know what the Jets have proven to me, and this will happen as this season goes on? They're going to win a game, probably against Miami, because I think they match up great with this overrated offense. Yeah, and I agree with you. They're frauds. They beat up on bad teams. Yeah. They'll beat the Dolphins. We'll all be fired up. And they're going to lose a game on this schedule that they shouldn't lose. And maybe it's Washington. Maybe dare I say it's Week 18 against the Belichicks and the Patriots.
Oh, that would be interesting. Could you imagine if they lost again to the Belichicks with the playoffs on the line?
Oh, I can imagine it.
And they stink.
I know. Bill looks lost.
What's happened? Is Belichick, are they really talking about firing him? Is that possible?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's having to answer questions about it. He's getting asked about it now.
Yeah.
Which is the first time I think that's happened in a long time.
Wasn't there also a rumor he was going to go to Washington or something
well,
like that?
I mean, if Robert Kraft wants to dump him and he still wants to coach, there's going to be a lot of possibilities for him to go. But the latest report out of the Boston Herald was they could fire him if they lose in Germany. And then hire Gerard Mayo as the interim head coach. I can't imagine firing a legend like that in the middle of the season.
By the way, I think that Washington rumor was by Evan.
No, it wasn't me.
You came up with that?
No, it was not me. Look, any team that needs a head coach would be interested in Bill Belichick.
Bill's lost something, though. I think Bill's lost a little bit. And I'll tell you, one thing I think that's happened with Bill, all the times when he traded out of the first round, he tried to be cute. I'm going to trade out of the first round. I'll get more guys in the 6th round. It's come back to bite him.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
The talent's just not good enough.
Right.
Speaking of coaches, this head coach, here's my concern. His undying loyalty to Zach Wilson, and I got to put these mindless penalties that we saw last week against the Giants and this week on offense, I got to put it on the coaching staff, and it reminds me of something you said. Everybody loves Robert Saleh, and that's great, but maybe it's too much love. Yeah. Maybe he's got to be a hard ass once in a while because they lack so much discipline.
I've told him this endlessly. That his biggest issue is he's too nice. Look, I think he's done a great job. The team plays for him. There's no doubt. I think they've done a great job with the defense. I mean, him and Jeff Ulbrich have really coached up the defense to be big time. Yep. There's no doubt about it. I think they play for him. Look, I'll say this. I don't want to dump another coach. I mean, we've been through coaches like water. I mean, we go through coaches almost worse than the Rangers do.
That one's working so far.
Well, so far, okay. It's 10 games into it. Peter Laviolette looks great. I mean, so far, wonderful. But I mean, you know what I mean. Every 2 years they got a new coach. I'm tired of that. You got to have some continuity. Look, I think no matter what happens the rest of the year, Saleh gets a year with Rodgers. I think
he gets a year with Rodgers if Aaron Rodgers wants a year with Saleh, and all indications are Aaron Rodgers likes him, so they'll keep him around.
Yep.
It's not about should they fire him or not. To me, it's more there's that moment. I remember this with you many years where there's that moment where okay, Eric Mangini ain't the guy, or the moment where Todd Bowles ain't the guy, or the moment Adam Gase isn't the guy. We actually knew that before they hired him, believe it or not.
Please.
And I worry about this head coach ever being the guy because they continue to make stupid freaking mistakes that cost them games. And I know what you're saying about where he was picked, but the undying loyalty to a crappy quarterback makes no sense.
But where are we going with? Like I said,
I just think it's the other options.
Yeah, right, that's what it is. Trevor Siemian is not any good.
No.
Ev, you know that.
I know he's not good, but I also know Zach isn't good.
Okay, let me see Boyle play then.
Fine.
I want to see the guy that's the unknown, right, Tiki?
Look,
let me see the unknown guy.
I was trying to find his college statistics just to see if he was.
College?
Well, he started at Kentucky or Connecticut, and he didn't have any success at Connecticut, but he ended up at Eastern Kentucky.
Is that where
he led he led that conference in passing? Like, he was really good at Eastern Kentucky, but Connecticut he was just average for his first couple of years. He transferred out of it.
Right.
But again, I can't tell you. I don't even know what he looks like.
By the way,
I know he wears Kenny O'Brien and Boomer's number.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
7. I know that.
I don't know if Tim Boyle's any good. I know Trevor Simeon's not that good. But here's the reality of Zach Wilson's era with the New York Jets. In 2021, he was replaced, I think due to injury, by Mike White and Josh Johnson, and they were both better.
Yep.
Last year,
there's no doubt.
maybe
No
not
doubt.
Chris Trevler, but Mike White was better, and then
No
he got
question.
hurt. So
And that was with Mike LaFleur.
That's right.
Right.
So the
That's
track
true.
record has always been whoever the backup is, whether it's Mike White or Josh Johnson, they're better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No doubt.
at some point, you got to try something.
Yeah. Well, look, they got to win this game this week. If they lose this game this week, they're in major trouble. If they lose to a rookie quarterback, look, they had their big game last week. Everybody was, juiced up. Antonio Pierce. I think they were smoking cigars like they won the Super
they
Bowl.
were. That was
in
crazy.
the locker room. Come on. You beat a banged up Giants.
You're right.
I mean, who did you beat here? Like, you slow down. I mean, I know you're happy that Josh
at home
McDaniels
too.
is-
At home,
Right. Well, I know they were thrilled to get Josh McDaniel out of there. I mean,
But
I
still.
get that.
But wait a
Right.
second.
Right.
I
You
got
don't got to smoke the cigars in the locker room.
I have
That's
to-
just weird.
I have to defend them. We were pretty happy when we beat a crappy Giant team too.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
but you weren't
but
smoking
we weren't
cigars in the
smoking
locker
cigars
room.
in the locker room.
I mean, come on.
We were
now.
salsa dancing. I mean, we were doing
well,
something.
that's me doing that. I mean, I'm not playing.
And there's
you know
history.
what I mean?
There's history between Jet and Giant. I mean, they used to
Right.
fight in the stands.
Right.
We're talking about
No, I know.
the
I
Raiders
know.
and the Giants.
I don't mind them being excited, but you're right. The novelty should run off. They got to beat this team because
They
if
gotta
they
beat this
don't,
team.
we're headed towards disaster.
Well, look, for once they actually got a rookie quarterback they're going up against. They're not going up against a Pro Bowl quarterback or a quarterback that's got a lot of commercials like Justin Herbert who's done nothing. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right.
I'm going to say a name. I'll say a guy's name. You tell me what comes to mind, all right?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Carlos Mendoza.
Oh my God, Carlos Mendoza. You know what, bro?
You
I
don't mean that, Joe. You don't mean that.
Well, here's what I mean. The reason I say that is because, to me, Carlos Mendoza is just going to be a puppet for David Stearns. That's what this guy is. This is what these managers are now.
But if he's a good he's good with
If
the
he's a good
clubhouse.
puppet.
No, if he's good with the clubhouse
Right.
and just manages things well, shows a little bit of emotion when his guys get beamed 30,000 times.
yes,
like the Mets.
especially your big superstar.
Yeah,
who
right.
gets
Like
hit
the
more than
Mets.
anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Get yourself thrown out a couple of times
Right,
early in the season,
right.
with
That's
Mr.
true.
Mendoza. Right? If he does that, I mean, isn't that what every manager is at this point?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah, other
serious.
than
No,
Dusty and Bruce Bochy, that is just the way it is right now with managers. But you know what? Tiki brought up a really good point. Because I hope Carlos Mendoza is a great manager. None of us have any idea. We have no idea what kind of
We have
manager
no
he's going to be.
idea. Right.
I would love very early in this season to see the Mets just start drilling guys.
Yeah.
You
That's
drilled
what they
Ronald
should be doing.
Acuna? I got you. You're my guy.
Right. Look, I screamed about it after Charlie Morton hit Alonso
Yep.
early in the season, basically almost broke his wrist. That was clearly done on purpose because Alonso, whatever he said the night before, throw me that pitch again, or whatever he said, there's no doubt they threw at him on purpose, and there was nothing. There was no retaliation whatsoever.
Yep.
Brutal.
Well,
No, you're right. No, Tiki makes a great Tiki. That's a great point, man.
start doing that. We'll love Mendy.
Could you imagine the '86 team? Those guys would have everybody would have got the crap beat out of them.
I know.
No,
you're right.
You're right. Forget it. Darryl, Ray Knight, these guys would have been all over them. Forget
You're
about
right.
it.
Well, Joe, hopefully things turn around Sunday
hope
night
so.
against the Raiders. Good talking to you, man.